Hello and welcome to Fireworks. The current mood in the nation can best be described as depressing, with the increase in the pump price of petrol to 145 naira per litre. Price of goods and services have shot up astronomically. Still, government has urged the citizens to remain calm, endure the current hardship, promising palliatives. But what are the policies that government is implementing or those to come that will bring light at the end of the tunnel? Today we'll be getting an aerial view about all of this from someone who should know. Of course, we'll also be talking about other issues relating to party politics at the center. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Let's take a short break during which we take a peek into our guest's bio, and we'll be right back. Stay with Fireworks. Thank you for staying tuned to Fireworks. I have with me today the National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress and former Governor of Edo State, in the person of Chief John Odigie Oyegun. Thank you for your time, sir.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Let's start with something that is topical, a topic of all times in Nigerian polity, which is the anti-corruption war. It's intense. But when will Nigerians begin to see results that will give credibility and consolidate the war on corruption?
Well, I think the results are already underway. Why do you fight an anti-corruption war? Main thing at the bottom of it is to get the message to those in authority, public sector, private sector, that the impunity of corruption will no longer be tolerated. Basic. And that is the message. And it is a message that is already permeating the society. The stage that you are seeing that is causing all the newspaper headlines and that is visiting punishment with crime that has already taken place.
Convictions.
Convictions. Those are coming. There are a few already underway. One just happened in Wadi, something to do with Nemasa and the rest of it, 5 years. And I'm not sure also somebody like that. So the convictions are already, they will be on the way. That will come only as fast as our legal system can cope, because this is not part of the executive. The legal system has its own independence, its own rules, its own procedures, and we're all on the judgment seat. The executive is doing its part, and we're leaving the legal system to do its part. But what the public needs to know and needs to recognize is that corruption has created a lot of powerful people, has created a lot of powerful interests, and has created a lot of very wealthy people who can fight all the way, who can go on appeal to the Supreme Court over an attempt to be allowed to go abroad to treat a simple headache and the rest of it. So this is why maybe it looks as if things are a bit slow, but I think the public appreciate that President Buhari is fighting corruption, but corruption is also actively fighting back. So
you are convinced that convictions will come even for the big names who are being tried?
I have no doubt about that.
Including the Senate President.
I have no doubt.
And indeed you have been quoted
all those are in the hands of the law. The law, I have no doubt that the law will take its course. Whether it leads to conviction
or not,
the law must be allowed to take its course.
And indeed you have been quoted to say that if that is the sacrifice that the party would have to make, the Senate President will be successfully tried.
Please don't go there.
Don't
go there. And I've made it very clear. It was just a theoretical exercise, but I've made it very clear that as a political party, we intend to hold on to what belongs to us. Simple. So the issue of that sacrifice does not come. But if you want to go on a theoretical excursion, that's a different matter.
Theoretical practical? I'm getting a bit confused.
No, in practical terms, the party will not give up what belongs to it. Full stop.
All right. Talking about the Senate President, Bukola Saraki, if his trial is reminiscent of what he said on his first day in the dock, I am here because I am the Senate President. If the party's candidate, Senator Ahmed Lawan, had been the Senate President today, for instance, would the current Senate President be on trial?
Look, we are going on a very slippery slope. These are judicial matters. These are issues already before the courts. Beginning to speculate, going into the area of speculation will not do us any good. So let the courts handle what belongs to the courts and leave it at that.
Chairman, sir, as much as I want to leave it, I understand that Senate leader, Senator Ali Ndume, is the face of the party when it comes to a lot of topical issues, especially the Senate President being one of it. How much has he done to help secure a political solution to the Senate President's trial? Will there be a, asking it in another way, will there be a political solution?
Let me look at it this way. When you say political solution, what are the implications? You are saying, in effect, that the political executive can interfere with the judicial process, and that is not the style of the Buhari regime. The judiciary is totally independent, and I cannot see a President Buhari interfering in any way in the process. So the issue again is very
So there are no closed-door meetings to secure a political solution to the Senate President's trial?
A political solution that will involve what kind
Perhaps
of action?
a resignation or a candidate for the Senate presidency seats that the party will be more favorably disposed to.
No, we're dealing with a case in court. Don't forget that. The other issues are political. Once the case in court is finally disposed of, then politics will kick in. And yes, then we can talk politics. But who, if, in the unlikely event, who and who not, and the rest of it. So it's a slippery area. Let's keep out of it.
Rest.
It is in
now,
court.
One word to wrap up the anti-corruption war. Has this war against corruption been fair, been across board?
That is a question I've had to answer so many times over. The administration is looking into why the economy is as damaged as it is today. We are looking into why salaries could not be paid. We are looking into why things are so fractured. In the process, whatever you come across, that is what you can prosecute. We are not going on a speculative mission. We are not going on into looking into everybody's closet. We are just in specific issues. And when these things come up, you do not say leave Mr. A out, prosecute Mr. B. No. And we have to remember the simple fact that the people you have in mind, the opposition, so to speak, have not been in office for 16 years. So they are not part of the drama that happened. You see all what comes out in the print media.
When you say the people...
Hold on. When they say $2.1 billion have been distributed, those who received shares out of that one are named. So there's no exclusion. You can only prosecute those who are involved in the matter, and it's as specific as that. It's not something which you say, oh, 3 of them are northerners, we must find 2 southerners to also add. Or 3 of them are PDP, you must find 1 APC to add. That doesn't, it's not a balancing thing, it's not a federal character thing. Have you committed a crime? Whoever you are, whatever ethnic group, whatever political party, you are prosecuted, end of story.
Yeah, but when you say that some people who this anti-corruption watch should also x-ray have not been in office for 16 years. But there are some who allegations have been leveled against, and Nigerians haven't even heard as much as a call for these people, for these allegations to be looked into. Is that fair?
The fight against corruption is not time-bound. What is happening today is who are those who pillaged at the federal level, we are a federal government. Who are those who pillaged the resources that belong to the people of this country? At this stage, you cannot do everything at the same time. Corruption is not limited to the public sector, get that clear. There's corruption in the private sector. There's corruption all over us, in several institutions. So you can only take at a time what you can chew and proceed. It is not time-bound. It is a fight that must be continuous until we, the people of this country, internalize that basic fact that impunity does not pay, that dipping your hands into the public till does not pay, and that anybody caught doing so will face the wrath of the law. Full stop. It's not time-bound. So we are just at the beginning. We are just 1 year into governance. So we're still scratching the surface.
And now that you have mentioned the $2.1 billion arms scandal, do you believe that former President Goodluck Jonathan has a case to answer in all of this? Does this administration have the political will to summon him to defend himself?
Political will is one thing you must never doubt, because we have a president, Buhari, in charge. And, courage is not one of the things he lacks. Determination is not one of the things that he lacks. Political will to question, yes, if clarifications are required.
You don't believe there is the need for clarifications currently?
If clarifications are required, I am sure he will be asked. But in a form, I think, that will not demean the office that he occupies.
Let's leave the anti-corruption war and make progress now to fuel subsidy. I have asked over and over again, without much satisfaction, to the question, from the answers I have gotten, has this administration articulated its policy on the price of petrol? What are we having? Are we having price modulation? Are we having price increase? Are we having deregulation? What has it done with the price of petrol?
Well, the downstream oil sector has been from time a source of perpetual problems. In the past, we could afford to fake things because the money was there. Crude was selling at 100, 120. We had a surplus crude account and the rest of it. So we got by. But the circumstances today have become totally different. The revenues from crude have virtually disappeared or deteriorated from being 70-something% of our total revenues to, 30% or less. So the need for adjustments became imperative. We can no longer foot our bills. That is clear from the fact that salary from the last administration, salaries became a problem to pay. So faced with these constant problems with crude, faced with the unacceptable level of exploitation of the subsidy element, which rose from Obasanjo's time of over 200 billion to over 1 trillion by the time we were taking over, for no explicable reason, none whatsoever, no rational reason. Put all this by the fact, I keep repeating it, of the collapse of the crude market. It was inevitable that any courageous leader must have to bite the bullet and look again at the downstream sector. You cannot keep doing the same thing, the popular saying,
so what has
and
it
expect
done?
different results. Yes, I'm coming to that. So what has happened now is to totally liberalize the downstream sector. Instead of putting government in the middle between importers and consumers, being bashed by both sides, government is moving out and saying, simple, just like we do with rice. You have money, import rice, sell at your price. Why can't we do it for petrol? You have money, import petrol, sell at your price. What has been done, and that's the price thing I think you were alluding to, is that for now, the government gave a band of between 120, 125 and 145. 45. You can sell within that bound. And that is the element of competition. It's something I think may not, anyway, it will introduce competition into the system. If you import crude and you want to be competitive, want to drive your competitors out of the market, you sell at 125. If you are not a very efficient importer and you are not a very efficient manager of your system, and you can only make profit at 145, you are allowed to sell at 145, but the judge becomes the consumer.
So it has liberalized.
Totally liberalized.
But in terms of regulation, it hasn't hands off. Hence, the continuous presence in the polity of the PPPRA. Right. Yeah. So what happens, Chairman, if the price of crude oil shoots up to $80 per barrel?
Our expectation is that, in fact, in the long term, Nigerians will not even pay up to 145 naira per liter of petrol. That is the sheer force of economics. Don't look at the negative.
When you say long term, how long is long?
When I say long term, I'm talking about a matter of months, not years. Don't look at the negative possibility. Look at the positive possibility. That given the fact that crude prices can never, well, let me not say can never, there's nothing like never, cannot rise up to 100 again. So the base is low. Refineries get their crude at, if you say 50, it was about 45, 46. They refine and we can get crude in the market probably without this intervention of subsidy and people trying to exploit the system. We can get crude at even less.
The demand by the new opposition party that the APC must apologize to it for embarking on subsidy removal because the All Progressives Congress prevented it with all its arsenal from towing that path in 2012 when it wanted to remove oil subsidy. And that apology has been long in coming. I'm sure the party has its defense.
Which opposition party?
The new opposition party, the People's Democratic Party.
Conditions then were different. The economic base at that time was different. At that time, we were still earning $100, $120 per barrel. We could afford it. Secondly, we became aware that the real problem was in the manipulation of the system due to actions of importers, PDP importers, and the subsidy regime, where there was large-scale theft, where people claimed to have imported fuel using vessels that had long since been towed to the scrapyard and were paid. These are things of public knowledge. So we were correct in standing firm against that. The reason for this is corruption.
But
hold on. The reason for the problems was corruption. And that once that can be tackled, and we were encouraging the government to tackle that corruption at that time, which of course they did not. Instead, it multiplied. Crude was still selling at about $120 a barrel. As at the time we are today, we are talking, crude has collapsed, and it was 40 or 40 something. Our benchmark for planning for the budget is $38, $39 a barrel. So it's a totally new situation, and we are facing totally new realities.
So that apology will not come?
They owe this nation a great big apology. They see what they've done to this country. They see how they've run the economy aground. Let somebody explain to us why. Let them explain. They owe this nation a severe apology, and people should demand it. Why subsidy should rise from 200 billion to 1-point-something trillion? Why? That question has been asked. Somebody should answer. They should answer. They owe this nation an explanation and a major apology.
Speaking of questions that should be answered, the government asked the independent marketers to source forex at the local market for the importation of fuel, and that singular action shot up the exchange rate of the naira to the dollar to about 380 naira. Analysts have interpreted that as a subtle way of devaluation, the same position that the government was opposed to. And only a few days ago, the government relaxed its exchange fiscal policy. Now, what exactly is the economic direction of this government?
To improve our economy, to improve our export potential, because there's no solution to this problem until we can produce and until we can export and until we can earn foreign exchange. Oil, this same unfortunate crude I keep coming back to, provided over 95% of our foreign earnings. It does not do that anymore. We are not earning dollars. We are not earning pound sterling. We have to judiciously manage what we have. That is what has created the problem. And that is why the emphasis of the Buhari administration is to create a wider base for the economy, not dependent on oil, solid minerals, agriculture, and also strengthening the middle, small-scale industrial base of this country. Even in the oil industry, refining to export. These, unfortunately, take a little bit of time. That is why I say it's a matter of months. These things will roll in bit by bit, very gradually.
But has it come up with a coherent economic policy?
It is very coherent. Our first budget is underway. You just watch and see the results.
All right. Now let's go to Kogi State. Although matters have rested in the meantime, but what exactly is the current situation in Kogi State?
We have a strong government, APC government, in place in Kogi. So we have no problems. Those who have problems are those who went to court. And we leave them to the judicial system. Whatever comes out of the court, we are waiting.
So why did the government decide to toe that path despite the legal interpretations that came with what happened with Prince Abubakar Audu's death?
Well, again, I don't want to go into speculative discussion. Legal interpretations come with as many lawyers as you consult. They have different ways of looking at things. Even judges have different ways of interpreting things. That is absolutely correctly within their purview. We took what we considered the best legal way out of a most unusual and unprecedented event. And it's in the hands of the courts to tell us which of the options. None of the options are provided for in the law, none. And we took what we thought was the most sensible.
Was that a safe covering for the party?
There was no other alternative. The way things happened, the manner of death, unfortunate death of Audu, the timing of it was totally unenvisaged by any law that we have in our statute books.
Was the party
not even by the Constitution. It is not a matter of fairness. It isn't a matter of fairness. It is a matter of what is practical and what can be defended. That's it.
So what's practical? Or why is Mr. Bello's governorship seat, why is it practical in the party's purview?
Because he participated in the primaries and came second. Full stop. The other man did not.
But did he work
and
for that
is a requirement
candidature?
of
Did
the
he
law.
campaign along with Prince
You
Faleke?
are going into speculative.
His work for that seat ended at the primary level. And indeed, certain party elements said he worked against the candidacy of the late
You see,
Prince,
you are going into the
Prince
realms.
Audu.
You are going to the realms of emotion. We don't work on the basis of emotion. We work on the basis of what is practical and can be legally defended. Full stop.
So that's the end. You don't see
For the
the
party,
current
that's
governor
the
as
end. We're waiting
embattled
for
pending what the outcome of the court decision
full
is.
stop. It's in the laps of the courts.
All right. Finally, before we close, want to also look at Edo State, Edo politics. What's the party position, or the crisis in the State Assembly has been rested now with the emergence of a new speaker. But how does the party see all of the happenings there? The State
I think
Assembly?
Edo State is nice and quiet now. We sent a team when we thought the directions of things were not auspicious, and those things have been nipped in the bud.
All right. That's the way we'll end it on Fireworks today. I want to thank you very much for your
Real
time
pleasure.
and thoughts on
It
Fireworks.
has really been fireworks. Bless you.
Amen. And you too, sir. We have been talking with the chairman, national chairman of the All Progressives Congress and former governor of Edo State, Chief John Odigie Oyegun. And of course, you've got that aerial view of what's happening at the national level and of course in other states of the Federation where the party's position is concerned. Join us same time next week when we bring you another interesting edition of the program. On behalf of the crew, I am Bukola Samuel Wenimo. Bye for now.